Well, folks, we are in the middle of the second worst wildfire season Canada has ever seen since we measure those things. And the smoke is drifting south, blanketing American cities from the Midwest to the East Coast. But here's where it gets wild. Instead of offering a hand, some US politicians are pointing fingers, and the orange idiot is threatening more tariffs. So today I'm pulling back the curtain on this developing story. A story that combines a terrible natural disaster, human suffering, and almost unimaginable human arrogance and stupidity. I'll break this down for you into 4 parts. First, the bad. Canada is burning. Second, the ugly. American politicians pointing fingers. Third, the hypocrisy, addressing the real problem. And fourth, the hope that can we fix this. So stick with me. This is getting to be interesting. Let's start with the burning reality. We've got close to 730 wildfires currently burning across Canada, from British Columbia all the way to the Atlantic provinces. Only Prince Edward Island is sitting this one out. And you know what? This year's season is already going down at the second worst in recorded Canadian history. Let me ask you something. Do you remember growing up? Do you ever had to wear a mask just to step outside because the sky was orange and your throat was tingling? No, you didn't. I know that. Because I didn't need to do that either. That never happened. Now our winters are warmer, record-breaking warmer actually, which means less snow. Less snow means drier forest, and drier forest, you go up in flames. Most wildfires are so remote, the only way in is by air. Try to find a blaze when you can't even get a truck to it. That's what our firefighters are dealing with. And we've got some of the best in the world. And they are working around the clock to protect communities and save lives. Now, here's where the plot thickens, and not in a good way. While Canadians evacuating communities and First Nations losing everything, you've got some US politicians playing the blame game. Michigan Republican John James, Jack Bergman, John Moulinar, and Lisa McClain actually sent a letter to Prime Minister Mark Carney saying, and I quote, "This is the third consecutive year we had to write to Canadian officials about a crisis that Canada has the tools to prevent and has chosen not to. He said our inaction is making Americans sick and that their patience has run out." And there is Ohio Senator Bernie Moreno, who had another brilliant idea. He proposed that he calls the Canadian Fire Act. Now, if it were to be approved, it would hit Canada with major sanctions because Moreno feels that we haven't done enough to manage wildfires in recent years. Here's how his Canadian Fire Act would do it. It would sanction certain Canadian officials, revoke their US visas, free certain US assets, impose economic sanctions on the Canadian government, and keep those sanctions in place until Canada shows progress in reduce future smoke events. Are you flippin' kidding me? They are basically accusing us of willingly letting our country burn so we could mess up their air quality. Are you completely out of their fucking mind? As if we're sitting here going, hey, let's torch a few million acres and really annoy Michigan. That's not only absurd, that's a level of American arrogant self-righteousness that stings even more than the fire smoke. And then you've got the orange moron and climate change denier himself piling on. He took to Truth Social and said he is holding Canada responsible for what he calls our willful negligence. He's threatening to add the cost of pollution to existing tariffs. He says our forests aren't properly maintained and that the US is being unnecessarily invaded by filthy, polluted and unhealthy air. Our Prime Minister Carney didn't honor the orange idiot's claim by responding directly. Instead, Carney urged the United States to intensify efforts against climate change. A factor scientists link to the growing frequency and severity of wildfires. Let me tell you something, folks. Canada has invested $12 billion in forest sustainability and fire prevention since 2020. On top of that, we have sent our firefighters and equipment south multiple times in recent years. Over 1,300 personnel to the US in 2024 alone. We've helped with California's winter fires. We've sent crews to Oregon, Washington, and even Hawaii. Where's the gratitude? Where's the neighborly support? Ontario Premier Ford put it best. Instead of complaining, how about sending some help? That's what neighbors do. But here's the real kicker, and this really makes me mad. Those US politicians screaming about Canadian negligence, and they are ignoring the elephant, or should I say the gigantic orange cloud of smoke in the room. Climate change is making all natural disasters worse. Scientists have been warning us for decades. Hotter temperatures, drier conditions, longer fire season. This isn't a Canadian problem, it's a global problem. And what's the US administration doing about it? Nothing. Actually worse than nothing. They are actively working against carbon-free energy solutions. The White House is spending billions of taxpayers' dollars to prop up the most polluting energy sources we have, oil and coal. They have cancelled satellite programs that monitor wildfires and pulling back environmental protections. Instead of investing in clean energy, they're fighting it. Wind turbines, they're killing them. Solar, they're slowing it down. All while and because the fossil fuel industry lines their pockets. Meanwhile, carbon-free energy is ready, it's scalable and cheaper than ever. Solar power is growing like crazy. Battery storage is booming and renewables are about to surpass coal as the world's biggest source of electricity. This isn't about can we do it, it's about will we do it. And the answer, unfortunately, seems to be no, at least from some folks. This year was the second warmest winter on record, right after one 2 years ago. And here's a terrifying thought. What we are calling a bad year today may very well be the coolest year our kids and grandkids will ever see. Let that sink in. Europe's recent heat waves killed thousands of people. Extreme weather is becoming a norm, and every single summer the smoke gets worse. So, is there any good news? Yes, there is, and it starts with us. Clean energy is not just a pipe dream anymore. Canada's renewable energy capacity grew 56% since 2020. We're building wind, solar and energy storage projects from coast to coast to coast. Globally, solar power added more than 500 gigawatt of new capacity in a single year. That's massive! The world is moving towards clean energy, driven by economics and demand, despite that American politicians hammer both feet on the brakes. We have the technology, we have the resources. What we need is the willingness to make it happen. And here's the thing that really gets me going, my friends. In the middle of all of this, we've got maple MAGA Canadians who are so brainless and obsessed with the orange fascist gangster that they're putting a 51st state bumper sticker on their truck. In our country, in fact, right here in my own neighborhood, while our sovereignty is being threatened and our communities are burning, they are cheering for the guy who wants to annex Canada and Greenland too, for good measures. Unbelievable. Unbelievable. Let me be clear, Canada is not becoming the 51st state. We are a proud independent nation with our own real values and our own way of doing things. We're building our military, forge new trade alliances, help to empower the middle powers, create our true sovereignty for the first time ever, and most importantly, eliminate reliance on the US and their obsession with fossil fuel. And right now, we need to stick together, my friends, to show the world what we are made of. And Maple MAGA? No. You totally misjudged me there, my friends. I don't say they should go to hell. No. Just go to the US instead. Maybe there they can get a job in a coal mine. I'm sure they will love it. It's so MAGA. So, here's where we stand. Our forests are burning, American politicians pointing fingers, and climate change is making everything worse. But we have the power to change that. Renewable energy is ready. It's affordable, and it's the only way forward. We just need the political will to make it happen, and not just in the US. Now I want to hear from you, my friends. What do you think about US politicians blaming us for the wildfire smoke? Is it total ignorance, a political stunt, or something else? Drop a comment below. Your comments really help me to make my next video. And if you're tired of the blame game and want to see real actions on climate change, hit that like button, subscribe, and share this video. We need to stick together, Canada. This is our country, our future, and our fight. Elbows up, my friends. And just so you know, if nothing very important pops up in a news ticker in the next 24 hours, something that would require to report on it, then in tomorrow's video I will pull back the curtain on Khane's energy flip-flop. So please stay tuned. Thanks for watching. I am Wilfried Lemkuller with Europe Curious, where we don't just repeat the daily headlines, but open the curtain so you can see for yourself what's really behind it. See you in the next one.